So I'm sitting here with the Lovells. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
You could pick so many causes that you want to get behind, that you want to use your name and use your voice. And I want to hear from both of you. Why did you choose trauma? Let's start with you, Doctor.
Well, this really goes back to some of Amy's early work when she started RegGen and understanding first about resiliency and how important a characteristic that is for success in individuals' futures. And so I was, between documentaries and speakers that Amy had brought into RegGen, I learned a lot. And then we had a forum here on campus around disparities, particularly health disparities in Milwaukee. And we had a panel of experts from all different fields, from healthcare to education to the criminal justice system, speaking about what are the root causes of the disparities in Milwaukee. And it became apparent that the root cause of much of the disparities is around trauma, and particularly early childhood trauma, and kind of made a connection that if we can address the trauma that people in the city were experiencing, then we can actually maybe change the trajectory of their lives and help them be more resilient and successful. And so that meeting, we learned about trauma, but then what were we going to do about it? So I just asked everyone in that meeting, to come together and have a discussion about what can we do. And really it was Amy's urging, because she had tried to do this earlier, maybe a year and a half before, that she wasn't able to get the traction, but given my role and I was able to get more people together at the table. And so I really attribute her early work to educating us, and then this forum really highlighting, putting a spotlight on how important trauma is, because now the science is finally catching up to understand, how the brain works, and how trauma is not just something that affects you, but you can pass it on to your children.
And why is this something you care so much about?
Yeah, so I've always been passionate about mental health. I was a pharmacist in a psychiatric hospital in Pittsburgh, and we have family members who have struggled with mental health, and so that was always something that I felt drawn to. But in 2013, our daughter at the time was 13 and lost one of her best friends to suicide. And so we started this nonprofit to advocate for youth mental health and resiliency. And so we screened a documentary called Resilience very early on in our work, and it showcased Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris's work in California, but it uncovered the ACE study. There's a lot in that documentary about the ACE study, and it was like light bulbs going off in my head from stuff I had experienced, Mike had experienced. We also have an adopted child, and so it was like everything was just like, everyone needs to know about this. Like, we actually voluntarily screened our audience, and it was a North Shore audience, and our screen showed the same results of the ACE study, if not even a little higher. And so we were like, this happens everywhere. Like, people need to know about it.
And for people not familiar with the ACE study, that's basically a scale to talk about how much trauma you've experienced and what that means for your life, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's 10 questions. It's pretty simple. You can go online, you can take it, and from a scale from 1 to 10, you answer yes to a question, you get your points.
But like, my ACE score is very low, but I experienced trauma when I was a child too, with my mom having a brain aneurysm. So, it doesn't scale everything, but if you understand the science behind it, I think you can just see things a little bit differently. And I don't know, we just really felt like this is the underpinning. This could be the underpinning to a lot of mental health and opioid abuse and suicide. 12 times the risk of suicide with an ACE score of 4 or more. So it was like, how can people not know this? And it's not always the underpinning, but a lot of times. And so I had the opportunity to go to Catalpa in Fox Valley to see what they were doing around mental health. There was a group of probably 15 of us that went. Mainly a lot of funding people were on that trip. And when we got back, we were supposed to get together to debrief. It was organized by Children's, and we never did. And so after we screened this, my colleague in RegGen, Brooke, said to me, you should get that group back together and talk about this and what we could do in our city. If Dr. Harris can do it in San Francisco, why can't we do it here? And so I did. I got that group together, and it was so hard because everybody was looking at me kind of to drive it and to have the answers, and I was looking more at it from a collaborative, like what could we do together. And so we were a really small nonprofit, all volunteers, and I'm like, this is too big. So I just sort of put it in the parking lot, and then Mike and I were at this forum, and people were encouraging me to get that group back together, and people were encouraging him. And so on the way home, I said, you need to do this. We need to do this together. So.
And you started SWIM, which is Scaling Wellness in Milwaukee. You've been having these meetings for about a year and a half now. What's been coming out of these meetings? What surprised you? What have you learned?
So first, we started, one of the great things that happened is that first meeting we had in January, it was only about 30 people. And we always started the meeting saying, well, if there's people that aren't here that need to be here, please invite them to the next meeting. So we've been watching this group grow, and now we have people from almost 500 organizations, 800 people that are involved in the meetings, all working toward this common. So to me, it showed me there's a great passion around this. The people are voluntarily coming to the meetings on their own time, no matter, as I said before, it's people of all walks of life. It's people with positions like myself at large organizations, to people in the grassroots doing work, to people from the community. And so it's a great collaborative effort. And so for me, the passion was something that surprised me. The other thing is, what we didn't realize when we were getting to this is how important our history as a city around segregation and race and racism we're going to play into the conversations. Because if we don't acknowledge and address some of the things that have happened to people in the past, it's hard for us to move forward and promote healing.
And I know that you said you're trying to make this a diverse effort and include a lot of different people, not just, CEOs or corporate people or, even high up people in public positions like yourselves.
Yeah, I think that we need to have the lived experience voice even more present, because even though Mike's had adversity, I've had adversity, my experience is not his experience is not mine, it's not what the city experiences. So I think we need to engage the community, and I think that's what we're working towards, is to get more of the voice. And we've been elevating some of the work at the grassroots level in our large meetings, which people have said has been the best part of the meeting, because they're learning about this great work that's being done that not everybody's aware of. And so we're really hoping that part of this effort will be the wind underneath their sails, not trying to jump in and say, we have the answers. Just collaboration, I think that's been surprising at how hard that is for people. And so everybody in that room wants to, but it's hard because funding's limited, and if I work with you, am I going to take away from me? And what happens if we solve this? Will we be out of jobs? So some of those issues come to play, but everybody wants to do it, but it's going to take time.
Research says that this isn't just emotional either, that trauma can affect a person's DNA. They can literally pass this on to their children. How do you combat that? Does that just feel like a huge task?
Sure. I mean, I would say this whole effort, there's times Amy and I almost feel overwhelmed, and Amy says sometimes she wants to run. But it's true that there's significant science now getting put behind this, and there are so many, if you have a high A score of experienced a lot of trauma, there are so many ways it can affect your health, and not just the mental health, it's the physical health. Your chance for heart disease or diabetes or some of these other illnesses go way up as your A score goes up. But the good thing is what the science also shows is that you can actually retrain, create new pathways in your brain. Your brain's much more plastic than they thought it was. And so through exercises and relationships and caring for each other, you can actually reprogram pathways in your brain so you can heal from some of the traumas experienced, so that you can actually help your children maybe not experience the same things that you've experienced.
Yeah, I also want to point out Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris wrote a book, The Deepest Well, and she has a chapter in that book called Licking Pups. And so they've done the science that shows that if you have this caring person in your life that's buffering you from the adversity, you can stop it from transferring. You can break the cycle. So there's hope. And I think I've also had the experience from this work where somebody read an article on it and invited us to a training in Connecticut called Circle of Security Parenting. And it's based on attachment parenting and forming a secure relationship with your child and meeting basic needs. And that shows the same thing, that kids have needs. And if you can be well enough yourself to meet those needs, you can stop it from passing on. Like, people only know what they know, and every parent wants to do right by their children. And so I think by learning more in a non-judgmental, non-blaming way, you know, there might be a new lens. I think you can stop it from passing on. But you're right, that genetics, when we had Dr. Harris here, a young woman who was in foster care actually stood up and asked that question to her.
Yeah.
She was like, you know, is there hope for my kids? Like, what about my kids? And she was in tears, and Dr. Harris was like, read chapter 6, the licking pups, like, love your babies, you know. And they even took like the pups, the rat pups from a non-licking mom and put it with the licking mom, and there was no difference. Just being with the licking mom really changed it. And so cortisol levels went down, and so those buffering adults, if it's not your own parent, can be other people.
It's obvious in talking to you that you're extremely passionate about this. How do you measure success with this project? What would have to happen for you to say, you know what, we did a good job with this?
Yeah, so you're talking to somebody whose life's work feels like it's, you know, like with suicide prevention and mental health, like I feel like one life changed is worth it. You know, I just think that awareness, the more people that learn about this, like, I think you can not learn about this and want to know more and want to do something about it, from even making maybe lifestyle changes for yourself, right? I mean, and looking at, wow, like, I really need to manage my stress. If I had this adversity and it predisposes me for heart disease, diabetes, you know, I have to take care of myself. And I think even something like that is success. So I think it can be measured, but ultimately it'd be great to see more equitable distribution in Milwaukee. Like, I think,
you feel like you need more money for this effort.
Yeah, I do. I think the inequity between our city and our suburbs is so visible, and I just feel like we need to come together and solve it, because it's not fair.
And this is not just a Milwaukee thing.
Yeah, right.
It's all over the country, all over the world. And maybe getting back to your thing about success, you know, one of the things that you know, again, this is such a large problem, you know, sometimes it's overwhelming to think about how are we going to come up with a solution. But to me, it's making steady progress and working towards, you know, a better pathway for people. And I will say a couple things that I think that we have made significant progress. First of all, I think just awareness and people talking about these issues is much greater than it was 18 months ago when we got started. And I think the conference we had last September, you know, where we had, you know, 1,200 people, you know, in the Five Stars Forum and in the convention center, where we brought in experts from around the country telling us and helping us understand, you know, trauma and how it affects people and how it affects communities and what some of the solutions are for those, you know, has really helped just have conversations in areas. You know, when I talk to employers now, you know, they now don't think if they have a troublesome employee, it's not what's wrong with the employee, it maybe what happened to them, and how can we help that employee, you know, show better behavior when they're at work, and, you know, be able to come, you know,
which is big with so many businesses
Yeah.
moving into our area.
Yeah.
And tell us about what's happening in October. So I understand that there's another conference.
Yeah, so we this year are partnering with SDC to bring the conference, and right now they're actively seeking keynote speakers. But we had about 1,500 people last year, or 1,300, and we're hoping to have a big crowd again this year. And anybody who wants to come, from community member to professional, is welcome. And if they need a scholarship to come, it's available. And so I want to encourage community members to feel like they can come as well, because that's one thing that's really important, is we want this to reach everybody. And so
Yeah, and really the theme of this really is a lot about self-reflection and healing and hope and community, actually thinking about how can we provide more hope for our communities so that they know that they can, work through some of the challenges they face and be successful.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate your
Thanks.
time.
Yeah,
Sure, thank
thank
you.
you.